And we are live on the Jeff Boski YouTube channel. Breaking news, Bitcoin booms to $17,000. Streeter joins the live stream, hailing from the mean streets of Cambria, California. He's one of the highest lifetime win rates at 1-2 and 2-5 no limit, allegedly. His role models are Jim Cramer, LeBron James, and Mr. Wonderful. Welcome to the podcast, Streeter.
Hey, good to be here, guys.
Glad to have you on. Before we start, I have a little risk disclosure statement. Trading cryptocurrencies and other assets is speculative, involves substantial financial risk, and may or may not be appropriate for all investors. Prior to trading cryptocurrencies, investors need to carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for them in light of their own specific financial condition. Cryptocurrencies can be volatile, and investors risk losing their investment on any given transaction. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Do not blame Jeff Slazinski personally or Streeter Hall for any advice given within the next hour podcast. Thanks for joining.
I am also not a financial advisor, and this is just my own personal opinions.
Just opinions, no financial advice given here. We're here for the entertainment, information, and knowledge we're going to spread upon you. Thanks for joining the Jeff Boski live stream podcast. Go ahead and get in the chat. I see many of you already in there. And, oh, you want to get rich? Yeah, no promises. It's all a gamble. But Streeter here is one of the most qualified people I had to talk about the current crypto boom. He's been a longtime friend, and he's got some knowledge to share with you. Once again, welcome, Streeter.
Good to be here. Glad to do your first Bitcoin YouTube video tutorial.
Official Bitcoin YouTube tutorial. Not a real Bitcoin, but you could sell it for a lot of money to the right person.
Yeah, don't buy those at the table.
Do not buy these at the table.
As a Bitcoin.
It looks like a Bitcoin, not worth $17,000. You can get them on Amazon for $10. Buyer beware. So it's been a pretty crazy week. Would it go from 8K to 16K in a week or something?
Yeah, I mean, really in the last couple of days, just the last 2 days has been pretty crazy. I think it got as high as the $19,000 range-ish, at least in the Asian markets. I don't know about the US markets, but it has been pretty crazy ride for Bitcoin this whole year. Actually, it was about $1,000 at the beginning of this year.
Wow. So 15x on your investment if you just buy and held January to December.
Yep. Just
the holding part.
Yeah, I think people try and get in and out and try and accumulate more coins, make some more money, but I think timing the market is very difficult. I have been wrong the one time I had ever tried to do it. I tried to do that at 5,300 at its all-time high, and it has not been back below 5,300 since then.
They say, oh, it's about to dip. Let's just sell high, buy low, right?
Yeah, it's a simple strategy, but timing the market, any market, is very difficult. Especially
Bitcoin. It's really the canary in the coal mine where it rarely dips, and then when it does, it just gets bought right back up.
Yes.
So usually the best play, buy, hold, don't sweat the swings, don't panic. Human emotions can be your worst enemy in this game.
Yeah, and don't try not to look at it like your everyday swings, because in reality, if you're just holding it for years, then it's all just paper money where you might have however much of a loss one day, however much of a gain. But if you're not looking to sell it, then it's actually not real gains and losses. And I think that's an easier way to look at things and not worry about the sweats in short term.
Okay, let's say my net worth is $100,000 and I own one Bitcoin. So that's 17% of my net worth. How would you manage that? Would you sell some of it, just hold on and just not even count it as part of your net worth?
That's a pretty big percentage of your net worth, I would say, to be in Bitcoin, but it's also everything is relative to your life situation. If you have 100K in savings, but you're job that you just got is a couple $100,000 a year, where you're going to have another 100,000 in savings next year, then you could have that type of risk. If you worked 25 years for that 100,000, then that's probably too big of a risk to be taking on something that can have very big swings. Being diversified is just important in everything in general.
Okay. So you got to know your own limitations, and if it goes to 5K tomorrow, how much is that going to hurt you on a personal level? You have to really weigh the risk versus reward.
Yes. The way I look, like when I first got into the stock market a few years ago, obviously I would try and like learn anything or watch any videos on like Warren Buffett. And he would always say, if you want to own something for the long term, then actually look at it as a positive if it goes down significantly from where you bought it, so that you can buy more. But you always have to have that capital to buy more. You also probably shouldn't be ever 100% invested, especially in crypto, because everything changes so fast. So you should always be able to buy some sort of pullbacks.
Okay, what's this quote about blood in the streets?
I don't know the exact thing, but basically you should be buying when there's blood in the streets, when everyone else is selling and panicking, you should be buying. And when everyone else is euphoric, you probably shouldn't be buying.
Okay, I've also heard another quote numerous times about when your taxi driver and your grandma are talking about buy Bitcoin now, it's time to get out.
Yeah.
I think we're at that point.
We are getting very close to that point. I would say in the last week, I've had a bunch of people ask me and mention to me, or call me and mention that their grandma has mentioned it to them, or somebody that has never mentioned it to them has mentioned it to them before. And that is a little worrisome, but I still believe the long-term aspects of Bitcoin are very positive.
Okay. Yeah, it's tough to know when to get in, when to get out, but best plan is just to hold and enjoy the ride, not sweat it, right?
Yes. I think market cap is a very important thing for any cryptocurrency, where you look at Bitcoin and you're like, it's 17,000. And you look at Ripple and you're like, it's 24 cents. And you're like, I'm going to buy Ripple. It could be the next Bitcoin. It could go to 17,000. Well, Ripple can never go to 17,000 just because there's 32 billion of them, and there's only 21 million Bitcoin, and actually significantly less because there's been a lot of people that have lost their wallets over the years. If you die and you don't have your info that anybody can get, those coins are stuck. People's computer crashed back in the day after mining them, and they're gone forever. So.
Or they threw out their computers because they were just pennies of Bitcoin. Who cares?
Exactly. There's many of those. So there's actually a lot less Bitcoin than the actual circulating supply of 17 million.
So there you go. The scarcity is real. The storage of value is what it's all about. It's not meant to buy a cup of coffee. Who cares if it's a $5 transaction fee when I'm sending 6 figures to a friend? Yes.
And my opinion of Bitcoin has completely changed since I originally purchased it in 2014. I kind of thought, because there was no transaction fees at the time, so I thought micropayments would be really big. Like, for instance, if somebody wanted to send Jeff right now, they wanted to send him a couple pennies. Well, if you can't do that on a credit card because it charged you $1 to send a couple pennies. But back in the day, you could send 2 pennies worth of Bitcoin to Jeff and there was no transaction fees. So you would not be charged for that. So people would be more likely to send small denominations. Now, transaction fees, I don't think it's ever going to be widely used at stores or for purchases, because there's other cryptocurrencies that still have very small transaction fees. But I think it is going to be like a store of value, where if you were a very rich person and you wanted to store $1 million or 10 million or $100 million worth of gold somewhere, you really couldn't do that at your house. Even if you could, you don't have access. It's not liquid. You couldn't sell it in a situation that you needed the cash very quickly. All of those things are things that Bitcoin can be used for. And so I really see it going forward as, I don't know if you want to say digital gold, but a digital store of value where you can store a lot of it on an external wallet where you are the only person that has control of the keys and has access to it.
Well said. I've heard that from numerous people as the rebuttal to people saying, oh, I can't buy coffee. That's just not the right application. Maybe another coin like Litecoin or the one of 1,000 other cryptocurrencies out there will be better suited for that in the future.
Yes, I agree with that completely.
All right. Chat's going wild. Let's get some more likes on this beautiful, beautiful day in Las Vegas. Podcast, Bitcoin booming. Everybody's happy as long as you got some Bitcoin. Request for me to cook a steak. I know you can watch the recent blog for optimal steak cooking. I'm not an expert chef, but I'm just happy I was able to teach myself how to cook a steak and sustain, living.
Jeff does cook a very good steak. I will say it is comparable to a steak that you would get at a steakhouse. I've been to many steakhouses, and Jeff has cooked many steaks for me, and they are very comparable.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's, ultimate compliment for not even an amateur chef. We got some familiar faces in the chat. Dat ain't chowda, says Streeter. Big fan of Dat ain't chowda. Shout out to Florida, probably the most sane person from Florida. Shout out to crazy ass Florida. Tears for Fears, Scott Hope, David George. Don't play video poker. Yep, too many Ripple, Banker Coin. Next blog coming out today or tomorrow. Breaking news, huge announcement, huge giveaway. Stay tuned to the Jeff Boski channel. We might be going live on America's Card Room tonight. You never know. If we don't have any technical difficulties, you might be able to watch your boy punt it all off in tournaments on America's Card Room. Troll the chat, have a good time. Sign up on America's Card Room. Code word Boski for optimal deposit bonus.
And he will be bluffing if he is playing. I don't guarantee that.
Successfully, that's another story.
Not all the time.
Not afraid to pull the trigger. Now let's talk about Ethereum. Yeah. One of the bigger altcoins. It's different than Bitcoin. Can you tell the people just a basic rundown on what Ethereum does versus store of value like Bitcoin?
Yeah. Well, Ethereum has a lot more uses in the aspect that you can build other applications on top of it. And the majority of new ICOs coming out are built on top of the Ethereum platform. And so they use the tokens that they use. Everything is built on top of that platform. And so that has value where ICOs need to purchase Ethereum and receive money in Ethereum to get their platform up and running. And ICOs have been very big in 2017.
Okay, so it's a means to an end. You got to have this to get that.
Correct.
All right. I've heard a lot of good things about Ethereum. I know there's a book coming out by Andreas Antonopoulos called Ethereum of Things, or it's like his Internet of Things book. Bitcoin Jesus, you might know him as, a very great source for cryptocurrency. If you guys want to learn more about cryptocurrency, I do private coaching sessions, $100 per hour, money well spent if you want to get into crypto game. I also recommend various YouTube channels, Twitter accounts to follow to stay with your pulse, your finger on the pulse of the crypto world. How many hours a day do you spend researching crypto?
For the last 4 months, it has been probably a 6 to 12 hour a day job, if you want to call it a job. You got to do what you enjoy to do. And if you enjoy doing something, then 12 hours a day, really, it doesn't seem like that much. Okay. But I'm sure my family would beg to differ on that.
We have a female in the chat calling someone a boss. Shout out to the 5% female viewing audience. Jazzy Jim asks, how can I short crypto? And do you want to?
That would be very risky. I mean, crypto is risky in general, but I remember an interview on CNBC that Mr. Wonderful did maybe 5 months ago, where he thought it was a great investment if he could figure out a way to short Bitcoin. And that would have turned out to be a horrible investment, because I believe Bitcoin was like 3,000 or 4,000 at the time. So I think that's tough. You will be able to do it next year sometime. CME and I think a couple other exchanges are offering derivatives on it next year. I don't know the exact dates, but you will have that option next year, and people will definitely do that. But personally, that just seems very risky, in my opinion.
Okay, don't tread against the water. You know, go with the flow.
Yeah, well, there will be pullbacks in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's whole history, there has been many pullbacks, but I just think that in the long run, it's going to be more valuable in the future than it is now. But there will be pullbacks.
Okay. David George asks, what's a good way or place to buy crypto?
My personal opinion is Gemini. It is much cheaper. Coinbase, I would say, is the most popular, but they charge a lot higher fee. I think their fee is about 3%. Gemini is about 0.25%. So depending how much you're buying, that could be a lot of money. It could not be, but why pay more? You don't have to.
No.
And then really Gemini, you can only buy Ethereum and Bitcoin. So if you want to buy other cryptocurrencies, you usually have to buy that with Bitcoin. So you have to buy Bitcoin first and then transfer it onto an exchange and then buy other current cryptocurrencies with Bitcoin.
Well said. Let's see. We'll go with, oops, where we go? Either of you get IOTA before it shot up? I did not, because it's on some exchanges I'm not a member of, but I've heard good things about the technology. IOTA?
I was not in it either. I have heard mixed things on IOTA, and I pretty much want to invest in stuff that I really can get my head around, or I can see the long-term vision. I'm more of a long-term investor than a short-term investor. I think short-term investing is much more work and much more difficult than just buying and holding. And there's so many out there that you can only do so much research on, and you can only invest so much money in so many different coins. And that was just one that I did not invest in, or I passed on that one.
Okay.
Congratulations to everyone that was in it, because it has done very well in the last few weeks.
Yeah, it went from like 50 cents to $6 in no time at all.
Yeah.
But now it's back down to 3. Very volatile market. That's why it's great for poker players. We're used to huge swings, playing cash games, tournaments, devaluing money. We're used to losing money. So
Yes.
it doesn't affect us like normal 9 to 5, $12 an hour guy.
I definitely think crypto is definitely easier for poker players that have been in poker for a long time to deal with the swings. It's very similar in that aspect, except quicker in the cryptocurrency world, obviously.
Give this guy a little timeout. Trolls are out in full force today. Not gonna entertain you guys. I do appreciate all the loyal viewers coming in with the genuine questions. GDAX, are you on GDAX?
I have never used GDAX, no.
Okay.
So I do not know what the fees are there.
I think they're much lower, similar to Gemini. It's a sister company of Coinbase. And the two I do recommend for new people getting in the game is GDAX and Gemini if you're looking to load up on some Bitcoin or Ethereum. Get yourself started in the game. As far as altcoins go, I've heard a lot of good things about Salt, Komodo, Stratus. These are all pumping. My Telegram groups are going nuts over these up-and-coming coins. Shout out to Daddy G. What do you think about, say, Salt, a unique coin that brings crypto lending into the game?
I love Salt for a long-term investment. I think their platform is coming out in December. We're actually able to take a loan from them for your crypto. And you're also able to loan your crypto out for interest rate, just like being your own bank, essentially, which I think is great. for the whole crypto world. I think there's people out there who would love to get some interest payments and still own their crypto. And I think there's people that would love to take a loan and not have to sell their crypto, be able to use capital and then buy it back when they have used that capital. I think Salt is a great platform and great long-term investment.
If you want to buy Salt, you can get it on Gemini, the exchange right now, for around $7-8. Could go up to 25 by the end of the year, maybe 100. I've heard a lot of good high-level investors quote about how great Salt is in this chat. Maybe Warren Buffett.
You have to buy Bitcoin and then transfer it onto another exchange from Gemini to buy Salt. I believe it's on like Bittrex, Binance, a couple of other big exchanges, but Gemini itself, you cannot buy Salt. Maybe in the future.
Okay. John Sarasad asks, how long does Gemini take to cash out to your bank account? I believe they put a slight hold on any purchases just to make sure you have the funds available from your checking account to fund the buy order on Bitcoin, Ethereum before you transfer it out of there.
That is a great question, and I would say that I probably should try it just to know. I have never cashed out. I've only purchased and I just hold. For the long term. So one of these times I will do that, even a short amount. I know that if you want the funds available instantly, you have to wire the funds in, and then as soon as it clears, it's instant. But in my experience, it's taken about 2 to 3 hours from the time I go to the bank or I do a wire online before the funds are available and in my account, and then you can withdraw them instantly. If you do a checking account deposit, it takes, I want to say, 4 or 5 business days before it clears. So you are able to purchase Bitcoin or Ethereum, you just cannot withdraw it until it clears, which is about 4 to 5 business days.
Okay, because I thought the checking account, it automatically goes in there like a $500 limit per day, and you can use it to buy, but then they hold.
Yes, that's what I was saying. It's available to purchase the Bitcoin. Like if you think Bitcoin's going to go from 15 to 20, and you're like, I just need to get in now, then you can purchase it. You just cannot withdraw like to your external hard drive or to a exchange until it clears your bank account, which is about 4 to 5 business days.
All right, that's some good advice. Sign up on Gemini if you want to get in the game. Pretty easy to get in. You have to give them a lot of your personal information. I will warn you of that, but they're a very reputable exchange. This is not financial advice. Do not sue me. David George asks, your opinion on best or top cryptocurrency affordable right now that could follow good path? I'm going to have to go with Quantum, Pay, OMG, Neo, Salt, and Komodo. What about you?
I like Neo a lot. I like the aspect that you can get free gas, getting free anything. Everyone's been loving these free Bitcoin forks, getting free money from the coin forking. I think that's good. I think in the long run, too many of those is probably not good for the brand, where people might get confused. You own Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin whatever they come up with in the future. It might be very confusing.
Super Bitcoin.
I like Neo is the one I really like. I like Salt. I also like Ethos for a long-term hold. And like I said, remember that the dollar value per coin is not the most important thing. The most important thing is the market cap, because market caps might cap certain coins no matter how good it is. I try and compare things where Bitcoin's market cap, give or take however much it's up or down before you see this video. At the time, I want to say it was like 240 to 260 billion market cap. And if you look at it like it's spread all over the world, where I don't know if Apple or Amazon is the most valuable company in the world, but their market cap is 800 billion-ish. So then you look at Apple, just the company of Apple is worth, I guess it's 300 billion now. The Bitcoin market cap, it's 18,000 at this exact second. But anyway, so basically you're saying that Bitcoin is still, or Amazon or Apple is still 2.5 times more valuable than all the Bitcoins in the world. When I look at it, in my opinion, what can reach more people, what has more, not applications, but just what has more value in the long run. I personally think Bitcoin still has a lot more value in the future. So that's where I see at some point, I see Bitcoin's market cap getting up closer to the $1 trillion market cap, which sounds crazy at this time, but that's about $60,000 a coin. I don't have any prediction on time and when that is, but at some point I do see Bitcoin being in the $1 trillion market cap.
There you go. I just pulled up Coinmarketcap.com, a great resource for coin prices, although I think it's an average of all exchanges.
Yes, there's very different prices from different markets.
The Asian markets always pay a premium for some reason. We got 22,000 on BitThumb, 22,000 on Coin1. I think that's Korean exchanges. 16.7 on Bitfinex, 17.4 on GDAX, averaging out to over $18,000 per Bitcoin. It's gone up $1,000 in the last hour.
Yeah, and then go back to CoinMarketCap real fast. So right now, the entire market cap of all cryptos in the entire world are 453 million right now. So I was just talking about Apple's market cap being in the $800 billion range. So essentially, the market is telling you that Apple is worth double every single crypto in the entire world put together, which, if you think about that, to me still makes absolutely no sense, because every crypto in the entire world, all the different applications they have, all the different use cases, just seems like more valuable than, especially not 50% less valuable than just Apple itself or just Amazon. And so that's the way I look at everything. I was talking about Bitcoin being in the $1 trillion market cap range, but I definitely see the whole market cap going up there, and that would just be a double, essentially from here, a little bit more than a double, which I think will for sure happen. If I had to guess on that one, I would say that one would happen at some point next year.
Okay. So it's a great resource to get a feel for what the price is per coin. I know I spoke with a bank teller at my local BOA, real nice guy. I'm talking some small talk, and I said, hey, you should buy some Bitcoin. You're in the banking world. And he's like, it's $2,000. I can't afford a Bitcoin. I said, you don't have to buy a whole one. Just get a little piece, get a little skin in the game. And he's like, yeah, I wish.
Yeah, that's one thing I think some people still don't understand, is that they don't have to buy a whole one. Goes all the way down to a millionth of a coin.
Yeah.
You can buy whatever fraction you can afford. So don't feel obligated to feel like you need to be buying a whole coin or even a 10th of a coin. You can buy a 20th of a coin or a 100th of a coin.
I agree. That's some great advice, and I definitely recommend, if you're going to be buying, say, $1,000 or more worth of crypto, it's good to invest in a hardware wallet, because if you just do the math, say 90%, 10% of the time an exchange gets hacked or goes down, you're going to lose your $1,000. You can buy a crypto wallet for $100 and control all your Bitcoins and altcoins private keys, store them remotely, and you have a wallet, your personal wallet, to send or receive Bitcoin or altcoins.
Yes, that is very important, depending on how much money you have, but I agree, any significant amount of money you should definitely be keeping on a hardware wallet. The Trezor is very good, the Nano S is very good. think the Trezor is $100-ish, maybe a little bit more than 100. Nano S, I believe you can get for $70. Nano, I personally like slightly better, just for how easy it is to use, but the downside is you can only hold 5 different cryptocurrencies on there, and there's only 30 total that you can hold on there. Not 30 at once, 5 at once, but 30 different ones that are even possible to hold on there. The Trezor, you can hold every Ethereum token that was built on the Ethereum platform by creating a token. And so that has a lot of value, that all the new tokens coming out on the Ethereum platform, you can store on there.
Okay. Excellent advice. Definitely the more money you have, I'd keep it off an exchange and on your personal hardware wallet. Just protect your future and your investment. This is serious money we're talking about here. I know you started out more researching the stock market before getting into crypto. Can you give the viewers any tips as to what stocks to buy and what processes you do in researching them?
Again, like market cap is very big. A PE ratio, their forward PE ratio is very important, what they project to earn in the future. I started off the first month or two I started in the stock market. I started day trading, and I learned very quickly that is very difficult. You have to do a lot of work for very little profits. It's much better to just be a long-term holder, and that's why when I came into crypto, I also was a long-term holder instead of trading. I just find it much less work, even not saying that there's not work, because you still have to do work and do your research and your due diligence, but I just find it less work than trading and trying to get in and out of things every day. But for the stock market, it's tough at this moment because they are also all-time highs. I have been selling a lot of my stocks that I invested in 3 or 4 years ago to get into more crypto personally, because I just feel like the upside at this exact moment is higher in crypto than it is in the stock market. Not that I have sold all my stocks, and I still own some for long-term holds also, but I have been selling gradually to raise more capital to put in cryptocurrencies.
Okay, so diversifying your portfolio is important with any type of investment. You got to spending cash, investing cash, different markets.
Correct, and that's also based off you personally, what your own personal risk appetite is, or how much risk you're willing to take. With all risk, there potentially could be more upside, but then there is also that potential downside, and that's just a case-by-case basis. Where do you have a really good job where if somehow you lost all your money, you will be able to make it back? Or do you not have a good job and you're doing stuff with your savings, and then you should be much more conservative if you were doing stuff with your savings that is taking you a long time to accumulate.
I agree. Frederick asks, what do you guys think about Ethereum and Litecoin? Is it worth investing into value into the future? My new brain says Coinbase is the most popular site to buy crypto on for beginners, and they only offer 3 coins: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. So if these are the only options, they're going to get the most volume and the most people buying them. And they've just gone up in price in the past year. Is there any logic behind that reasoning?
Definitely. Coinbase, I believe, is the biggest exchange, at least in the United States for sure, with buying cryptocurrencies in US dollar. Because most of the exchanges, if not, maybe not all, but most of the exchanges that you can buy all these other altcoins with, you cannot deposit US dollar into. So the ones that you can deposit US dollar into, Gemini, Coinbase, GDAX, they only sell a couple cryptocurrencies, and those are the most popular. And so those are the ones that the first people buy, the first time they're buying something, it's going to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin on Coinbase's. case. So yes, those are the ones that people first in will buy. So they do have the value of that, but then they also have people new into the game are also easily scared, I feel like, where they could be the first ones to sell when there's a 10%, 20% pullback, which almost always happens or is inevitable to happen in the cryptocurrency game.
But important note is Bitcoin is the king, and in order to buy other cryptos, you have to have Bitcoin, because on these exchanges like Bittrex, they have hundreds of coins you can buy, but you're just selling a thousandth of a Bitcoin to get one Neo, stuff like that. That's how the conversion rate breaks down. And when you're investing in, say, Salt versus Bitcoin, you're betting that Salt is going to go up at a better rate than Bitcoin. So you can sell the Salt and get more Bitcoin and then cash out the Bitcoin into US dollars.
Yeah, that is one way of looking at it. There's also a second way of looking at it where I look at things differently in different aspects of investing, where right now, because Bitcoin is so high and I have been in Bitcoin for a long time, I'm not going to buy more Bitcoin personally to hold. Not that I am not a believer in the long run. If I just heard about Bitcoin in the last week and I did my research, I would probably be buying Bitcoin. So I look at my investments in US dollar base. So I don't, in my opinion, I'm not trying to outperform Bitcoin. I'm looking at it, I'm trying to buy undervalued altcoin, and I'm just looking for it to go up in the long run. And then I will convert that back into US dollars at some point. And so I'm not looking for these other altcoins to outperform Bitcoin, but that is the way. If you're investing your Bitcoins, you should be looking at it. If you're investing new US dollar denominations that you wouldn't be buying Bitcoin with, then I personally look at it in comparing it to the US dollar.
Okay, let's say I have $10,000. I want to put it all in crypto. Would you say a certain percentage in Bitcoin, certain percentage in Ethereum, a couple altcoins like Komodo or Salt?
Yes, I wouldn't, even if that $10,000 is not all of your money, I would still diversify within the cryptocurrency. I personally think you should always have your highest holding being Bitcoin, as it is the highest market cap. I see it having the most value long term because people still are using it as to purchase other coins, storing it as a long-term hold. But I think you should be in some other coins. I think Ethereum is another good one that you should be in. I don't know the exact breakdown, but I would definitely say your biggest holding should be Bitcoin. Ethereum maybe should be your second biggest one, and then you should have other altcoins that are smaller in size that you like. You also want to like the coin or the long-term prospects of that token, because you don't want to get shaken out where if your token goes down 10%, you bought a token because your friend told you to buy it, now it's down 10% and you don't even know why you own it. That was one of the first things I learned in the stock market, and that holds true in the cryptocurrency world. It's actually more valuable information because you'll have a 10% or 20% swings very quickly. Maybe in one day you wake up in the morning, you look, your thing's down, your coin token is down 10%. If you don't know why you owned it, you're probably more likely to sell. If you know why you own it, you still like the prospects long term, then maybe down 20% is a good time to buy a little bit more of it. That's the way I look at things.
So there's a fine line between becoming emotional, like almost connected. Oh, I don't want to see this coin go. I don't want to sell it. It's a winner. It's down 20% this week. It's keep going down. Do I cut my losses, or do I believe in it? It's coming back.
Yeah, there's that's probably a pretty fine line where you got to have conviction to be able to hold something that's down 20% or buy more when it's down 20%. that takes conviction in what your long-term belief of the token or coin is. But at the same time, you also have to be realistic. If the story has changed where you invested in something that you thought was going to be this, and now it's not what you thought, then maybe it's worth, you should be willing to take that small downside loss and get into something else. You got to always keep up on the tokens. They're releasing new information, and when the story changes, your opinion should change, whether it's more positive or less positive, or sometimes neutral, because the information is not that valuable or doesn't change things long term very much.
Okay, it's so hard to time the market, know when to get in, when to get out. It's often easiest just to hold for X amount of years until you just really need the money, or whatever the reason may be. Not be emotional with the swings. Let's say I have a friend, hypothetically named Derek. He sold some of his Bitcoin last night for $14,500. He wakes up, it's $17,000. He says, "Oh, it's going to go to 100K. Do I buy it again at 17.5? Do I wait for a dip?"
That's a very difficult question, because you have to, well, why did you sell it in the first place? Did you sell it just because you were trying to time the market? I think that's a very tough game. I don't do that personally. If you sold it because you needed the money, then you needed the money, and you can't be upset that it went up.
I think he was just thinking it's due for a retracement. It's overextended. This is probably the top. I'll buy it when it goes down to 13 or 12.
Well, it still might. I mean, we just looked, it's 18,000 now. The way Bitcoin moves, it's possible that it's 14,000 in a week. You just don't know. That's why I don't try and time it. I just am looking long term, where it's 18,000 now. I see it being more valuable in the future, if not significantly more valuable in the future. I know most people, it's hard to not try and time the market. I just think it is very difficult to do.
Some of the big pumps today, 24-hour changes. NXT, very volatile these last couple of weeks, really showing itself at a 50% rise today. Bitcoin at 26%, probably one of its biggest ever increases per day, especially at the price it's at, is just incredible.
Yeah, for the price that it's at, that is a huge move. In market cap, that would be
$75 billion just thrown into Bitcoin
a little bit
today.
less, because it wouldn't have been 300, but yeah, 60 to 65 or something $billion move, which is crazy, because if you go to the whole market cap, there's only it's the only one, I believe, that's even worth that much. Ethereum is still only worth, I think, 41 billion right now. So Bitcoin has increased in value more than Ethereum is worth just today, which is crazy when you think about that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, that's a historic day for Bitcoin. I mean, the last week has just been crazy. Almost doubling in price at such high price levels. The CME futures coming out. They're probably going to manipulate the price one way or the other, down, up, whatever, profits the big traders. I know you're a big fan of perpetuity. You talked about Neo, how it gives you gas back, how owning Bitcoin these past few months, if you own it, you get the fork of Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Diamond now.
Yes.
They're just giving you free coins just for holding these coins, a form of perpetuity. What do you think about the future forks? I know you said it's kind of bad for, the overall outlook on Bitcoin, kind of watering down the brand.
Yeah, I think too many of them is bad. I think Bitcoin Cash, they tried or are trying to do that for a good reason, being that they're trying to get transaction costs much lower and faster, which so far they are much lower. The thing is for people, if you own $200 worth of Bitcoin and you're going to transfer it somewhere and it costs you $5, then that's a very expensive transfer, to pay $5 of your $100 or $200. doesn't make very much sense. Where Bitcoin Cash, I want to say, are cents, if maybe like 10, 20 cents or something, which is much more reasonable for people that have less money, which I think is a very important thing.
It sure beats Western Union. They really rake you. That's some caveman type technology.
Yes, I still think that's a good application for some cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin or another one. The people that earn money, whether it's in the United States and send it back home, or earn money wherever they're at and send it back to relatives or family. That case, they don't have to pay on a $100 transaction. They don't have to pay $10 or whatever I haven't used Western Union in a long time, so I don't know, but I know that it's a very expensive fee.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Can we short Western Union?
I'm sure you can somewhere. The stock, I'm positive you can short it somewhere.
Shout out to Western Union. The other thing about transaction fees and stuff, I've been paid overseas before by people through PayPal, and they just rake you. They send you 500, you get like 470, 460 for the currency conversion fee or whatever.
Correct. That's another.
I said send me Bitcoin.
Yeah,
So
use case that I think going forward is very big. We need some sort of global currency, if not multiple global currencies, where if I take a trip to Europe or I go to Mexico, I don't have to pay exchange fees at the airport. And then if I don't spend all that money, I have to pay more exchange fees to convert it back when I get back home. If I could use some sort of cryptocurrency to pay for things all over the world, that is very, very valuable.
Yeah, it's such a scam. Everyone's just trying to, shear the sheep, get their cut of every little transaction, when crypto can do it much more efficient and cheaper. Wire transfers, you got to pay 20, 30 bucks, wait a couple days, get 5 pieces of information, routing numbers. You can just copy paste a Bitcoin address.
That's not to mention if it was an international bank wire, that's that's even more in depth with the information you need and the time that it takes. Where Bitcoin, even when Bitcoin is slow, transactions are usually within a couple hours at most, and that's when it's slow.
Yeah, or Litecoin, or Lightning Network, a lot of great things happening.
Ethereum is very fast, except for yesterday.
Yeah. You bought a bunch of crypto kitties, right?
The kitty slowed them down.
You're breeding
that
kitties?
Must have been mine, because that was the first time I ever did an Ethereum transaction, and it wasn't in 5 or 10 minutes max. I did one yesterday, and it took about 2 hours. And so.
Wait, you bought a crypto kitty?
No, I did not buy a crypto kitty, but that is probably the reason that my Ethereum transaction took 2 hours instead of 5 minutes.
Damn kitties clogging up the Ethereum network. It's a conspiracy. I remember it was so mind-boggling. 2 different instances that I had times at the local Bank of America or wherever I was, where I just paused and I was like, I can't believe this. Like, I was going to play the main event once. I'm like, yeah, just need 10 grand. They just looked at me like I was crazy. 10 grand? We don't have that kind of money.
For sure.
Like, you're a bank. How is this possible? And then I once tried to wire just from a Canadian bank account to a U.S. bank account. They said, oh, okay, it's currently 80 cents on the dollar. You're sending 10,000, you're going to get 8,000 US minus 5%. I'm like, no, it's 0.8. And they're like, no, we got you at 0.75. I'm like, no, look, it's right here. I got international exchange rates. This is set in stone. They're like, yeah, we understand, but for us, we need a little piece of that pie.
Yeah.
Like, no. I'm giving you my business. We're good. That's the rate. Like, no, you want it or not.
Everyone wants a piece of that pie, and essentially crypto, you're paying a piece of that pie too. You're just paying a smaller piece of that pie.
Much smaller, which the transfer
is good long run for you.
And the speed, you can have it on your phone, device. They see people get scared about how do you send? What's up with these 28 uppercase, lowercase digit codes? You copy paste it. It's just like sending an email. It's not hard. It's the new web. It's a website address. How do I find Beanie Babies? Oh, you go to eBay, type in Beanie Babies. You copy paste, you click a link, you're good.
Yeah.
Same thing with Bitcoin. You want to send it to a friend, you copy paste the link. You don't have to type it all out. Once again, crypto coaching, $100 an hour. I can help you out. You want to get skin in the game, I can set you up so you don't make huge mistakes that I might have made or my friends might have made.
Yes. Copy and paste, and then just check to be extra safe. Just check the first two and the last two letters or numbers in the address that you're sending to. And if you copy and paste and the first two and last two are there, then you got the whole address.
Absolutely. It's that easy. There is some barrier of entry where it all seems foreign. But once you get the hang of it, it really is the future. I know you dabbled in flipping houses, being a landlord. These are some other revenue streams you've looked into. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about that?
Correct. When I quit playing poker, I just wanted to do something that was more stable after my daughter was born, and I was getting over the daily grind of 12 years of playing poker, and also realized I was probably not going to be very rich because of poker. I could live comfortably, but I was probably not going to be rich. So I got into the stock market first, and then I also got into real estate. They all have a lot of similarities where it's about ROI. Everything that you're investing in is about ROI. Real estate is a good long-term hold again. I did one flip property. I thought I was going to be into that, and I learned a lot, and I did enjoy that and made some good money. But it is a very, is a lot of work. And also it takes a long time to sell a house. It just does. You have to wait for the right buyer. You have to get the price, then they have to do all their due diligence. They might back out of escrow. Something comes up. It's just very difficult to sell a house, and that asset is very illiquid. You cannot liquidate a house in a timely manner if you needed to. At least in crypto, you can liquidate that in a timely manner. Being a landlord, I think, is much easier. It's probably less work than people think. Then you also are getting that monthly perpetuity. Either they're paying off your mortgage, or if you own it outright, you're just getting that money in cash. And the amount of things that you actually have to fix is probably less than you think. And so I'm much more a fan of being a landlord than I was of flipping the one house that I flipped. I pretty much gave up on that after the one house that I did.
So are you looking to buy more properties to be a bigger landlord?
That was my goal a year ago, and the last year I've just been more into crypto, and I just feel, at least in the short term, there's just much more money to be made in the crypto world. At some point, I'm positive that'll change, and then my view will change. But right now, looking forward, at least for the next year, I will be not purchasing any more properties, and I will be investing more in cryptocurrencies.
All right. Let's see. We got some people in the chat. Will Harrison just joined us. I missed out on a bunch. This will be replayed on YouTube on the Jeff Boski channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Don't be fooled. It's free. A horrible word, subscribe. I don't got money for that. Oh, no, it's free. You get an email alert when I go live with an exciting guest, such as Streeter, maybe a porn star, maybe a D-list movie star. You never know who you're going to get on this channel. But I will be streaming poker on the internet live, hopefully tonight, bearing technical difficulties. I'm a noob. You get to see all the action live, join the chat, sweat with me, just like on Twitch, but on YouTube. We're going to get to 10,000 followers. We're trying to keep up with the pace of Bitcoin. We're only 7.
Well, now you're about 9,000 behind.
9,000 followers behind the dollar Bitcoin price. But that's okay. We're building the channel. We got a lot of exciting things in the future. Big announcement in the new vlog that's coming out tonight if I don't stream, or tomorrow if I do stream. So we're throwing a lot of content at you on the Jeff Boski channel. Make sure you sign up on America's Card Room. Bonus code Boski. Oh, internet's going nuts. A lot of people want me to show their coins, but I'm only going to say coins that I believe in. Streeter, what are some more of your favorite coins?
That's how I am too. I also don't own coins for short-term shill gains or short-term whatever pumps. Not that I have never bought a coin because I know that there's an announcement coming out and I think that they will get a pump because I do that, but I would say that that's probably like 10% to 5% of my portfolio, or 95% of it is long-term holds. Like I said, Neo is the other one I am big on long-term. Salt, I'm big on. Ethos, I've just recently got into Ethos and I'm big on that long-term. Trying to think of what my other big holdings are. Ethereum, obviously. Litecoin, obviously. I think a good way to do research is to go to Coinmarketcap and look at the most valuable market caps and go down the line. And you want to learn about a coin, you just click on the name, you go to their website, you can read their white paper. It's very valuable. Look at their website, see what they're trying to do, look at their roadmap, doing in the future, trying to release their goals. But there's so much out there, you're not going to learn it all. But just if you have the time, try and learn about 1 or 2 coins a day. That's even what I try and do. I go to CoinMarketCap, I scroll down, I see a valuable coin that I don't know about, I click on it, I do a couple hours worth of research, and then I know about that coin. And you do that and you will know a lot more in a short period of time, but you're never going to know everything, because there's so many new ICOs coming out that you can't do the research on all of them, and you can't do the research on all the current coins or tokens that are out on the market right now.
Well said, well said. Neo and Lisk, Dash, I have a special place in your heart for Dash.
I did. I bought Dash really before I did any research, because that is my new son's name, about like 5 months ago. And then I did some research, and actually, the more I did, the more I liked it. So I'm also a holder and a long-term believer in Dash. Okay. My son and the coin.
Oh, funny how that works. We also have FL Grinder, must be a long-term viewer of the vlog. He saw my AVN Horn Awards last year, where I had a moment with Kimmy Granger, a very nice girl, one of my favorites. Next to Kiss of Sins, very nice. Follow her on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. The good news is I will be attending AVN Awards. I got VIP tickets to the awards and the expo, so we'll be getting exclusive coverage with a few of my close friends. I expect that to come out in January.
What does that take to get VIP tickets to that? Is that just more money?
Money. Money. That's all it takes is money. Money can buy you happiness sometimes.
Sometimes.
Depends on what makes you happy.
There is also the saying, more money, more problems. I would say that is also a very true saying.
But more money, less problems too, because you're not sweating the small stuff.
It's different problems, correct?
Like ribeye or fillet, skirt steak or fillet. These are the choices. McDonald's or fillet.
Very correct. Before, maybe like 10 years ago, it was more like peanut butter sandwich or just bread and butter today.
Ooh. So you started at the bottom, now you're here.
Yeah, I would say about 7 or 8 years ago, I was probably not doing too well. I made some bad investments, and you just got to learn from your bad investments and get out of them when you can and move forward, because it will happen with everybody. You will make bad investments.
All right, excellent advice. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I hope everything you've said helped everybody make some better choices with their investing. Of course, we are not responsible for any investing. Anything we give are merely opinions. We know nothing. We are not professional trading cryptocurrency experts. It's all speculative.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not going to say we know nothing.
No.
I know something.
Legally.
But I'm not a financial advisor.
Correct. You can't hold us accountable.
These are just my opinions.
If you buy Dogecoin and it goes down, that's your fault.
That has actually happened to me, and I am no longer an owner of that.
You bought Dogecoin?
Yeah, when I first started, because it was just so cheap, and I didn't know anything about it a long time ago.
Yeah,
that's one of those you gotta live and you gotta learn. You gotta take a loss sometimes on the Dogecoin.
It's like penny stocks. You know?
Exactly.
It's a gamble.
You buy Dogecoin like a penny stock. You take a loss. You just learn from that. That gives you valuable information. Losses are sometimes very valuable.
Yeah. But is there anything else you wanted to, any closing thoughts that you want to tell the viewers?
No, I think we are good.
All right. Any stocks you're investing in long term? We kind of covered that, but if there was one stock long term that you're like, that's a good one.
I've liked Alibaba for a long time, and that might sound weird because that is a Chinese stock, but I have been a long-term believer of Alibaba. Also, Facebook. I'm also a long-term believer in Google. Amazon. Amazon is a little bit harder because it's hard to value it compared to other stocks because their price to earnings is so high. But if you think that something is going to change the way people live their everyday life or function, then it's probably a very long-term, a very good long-term investment. Netflix also, but the same thing. I've scaled out a little bit of Netflix and Amazon just because they've run so much and their price to earnings multiple is so high that it's hard to compare it to other stocks, where Facebook, Google, and Alibaba are still, I wouldn't say cheap, but not outrageously expensive on a price to earnings multiple.
Okay. You know about this holding company?
Yes. They are a holding company, and it is different than being an actual stockholder of the company, which you are in others. But I don't think that that means that it's not profitable, or I don't think that that means that they're trying to scam anybody by having it in a holding company instead of owning the actual stock. Just my personal opinion.
All right. Sounds good. Really appreciate having you on. We're here celebrating the Bitcoin boom. Get your Bitcoin today. It could go up, it could go down, but it's a good gamble. Could be the future, could go to zero, but we're here enjoying it while it's booming. On behalf of Streeter, I'm Jeff Boski. Hit the like and subscribe button on your way out. On behalf of PokerTube and America's Card Room, I'll see you guys in the next vlog or possibly tonight on the live stream playing on ACR. Thanks for joining, and